Well, the Flint Institute of Arts has a new, fun, and exciting exhibition. It's called My Ink, The Art of Tattoos. And joining me now is Sarah. She is the director and curator. How's it going?
It's going really great. It's going well, yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about the concept behind this. It's, obviously common sense, but just kind of give us the concept of how you guys came about creating this exhibition.
Sure. So this idea of exhibiting tattoo art has been in our minds for over a decade.
Wow.
And we decided this year that it was a great year to kind of go through with it. And really the show, we wanted to celebrate the artistry of tattoos and especially the incredible talent we have in Michigan.
Yeah. What was it about, tattoos that you really saw that, this even came about 10 years ago, a decade?
Yeah, so tattooing is an art form that's been around for centuries, right? But it hasn't really broken into kind of the quote-unquote fine art world until more recently. And, we started to see artwork really kind of evolving and developing with the tattoo artists. And we're also, seeing really great two-dimensional and three-dimensional artwork kind of outside of the skin from them. And that's one of the things we wanted to showcase.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure there's so much to see.
Yes.
Shall we enter?
Yes, we shall.
Well, Sarah, we've entered into the exhibition. Tell us what we're looking at right here.
So we wanted to have this kind of a little bit of an immersive experience when you walked into the space, and we looked at old time kind of vintagey tattoo photographs, and we weren't finding what exactly we wanted, so we reached out to Consolidated in Flint. Some of the artists from that shop are featured in the exhibition, and this is basically just a photograph of their shop.
Wow.
But it's really indicative of a lot of tattoo studios where you have the flash along the walls and you can kind of see, it gives you a little taste if you've never been into a studio like this, what it might look like.
I love this because it's so grand. It's a beautiful representation of this actual tattoo shop. And you're right, this is an area where people don't really think of it as art, but they do a fantastic job when it comes to doing tattoos.
Oh yeah, these are incredible artists.
Yeah, all right, well, let's see more.
Sure.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the artists that are here. There's more than 30, right?
There's 31 artists in the exhibition. We have everyone from Diane Mansfield here, who is one of Michigan and really one of the prominent documentarians of photography, but she lives here in Michigan, so we wanted to feature her work. She's been photographing the tattoo community for years. We also have artwork on the skin by artists, photographs of course. We have flash and we have artwork in other mediums.
Awesome. Well, I see an affirmation here. Tell us about this and why it was important to put it up here.
So first of all, I feel like Don Ed Hardy is one of those kind of key people. So really kind of catching name, but it really kind of, for us, it's to set the visitor into the mindset of people who really are embracing tattoos. And so tattoo is an affirmation that the body is yours to have and to enjoy. And I think that that's kind of what tattooing is. Like it's your story on your body.
Right. And he was very instrumental in kind of like setting the tone way back when,
yes.
With the clothing line
yes.
and all of that. So it's amazing to see, you have that information here. Okay, where have we walked into?
So this is the first large gallery, and this is kind of setting the stage for the rest of the show in terms of kind of laying some of the groundwork. For people who are not as familiar with the world of tattoos, behind us we have some vintage flash. So flash, sits on the walls of a tattoo shop and you can come in and say, I want that rose. And it was really wonderful. We were able to borrow from one of the artists in the exhibition from his collection. So we have vintage work, but then on this wall we have all contemporary flash. So we've borrowed from several artists. They're reflected throughout the exhibition, so you can see their work in other forms, but it kind of gives a little bit of a understanding of what potentially is out there for flash.
Yeah. Now, why do you think tattoos, for the longest time, it hasn't really been classified as art, but you can clearly see that's what it's always been. But why do you think it's always been that narrative that it hasn't really been that?
I think because it was such a key part of the subculture, and I think for a very long time there was a stigma about tattoos and people who got tattoos. And it has changed over the years, and I think the more mainstream tattoos have become, the more people are really embracing this as a form of art outside of just the typical idea of tattoos.
Right, and art is always about expression, and people, you know, they want to be able to express themselves through their tattoos, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm intrigued by this because we have some of the hardware that they use, correct?
Yes. So in this case, it's really fantastic. We were able to borrow one artist out of Ann Arbor. These are different machines that he's used throughout his career. He's also known for building machines. And so he generously gave us a breakdown on the other side of what kind of goes into each one of these.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, there's a little bit of information about when he used them and you know, how they operate. And then, of course, in the middle, we have a synthetic arm. And these are always really fun to see. A lot of times, they'll be kind of around tattoo shops. And it gives artists an opportunity to kind of experiment. It kind of mimics flesh. So, yeah, it is, this case really is to kind of ground us into the mechanics of tattooing. Because it is not just a beautiful art form, but it is there's a lot of skill involved, a lot of technical elements.
For sure. And I was just gonna say, like, you can see the wear, how it's like different going all the way across, and I just envision it as being a story told for each stage of his life, which each one. Has he shared that with you at all?
We've learned a little bit about his career. He's actually, you know, been in the industry for a very long time, and he's incredibly prolific. So we've learned a little bit about him, and I'd rather have him talk about his actual stages. But yeah, I mean, it shows that progression. What it also shows is the progression of just general technology over the years. So machines have changed drastically from the early days.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's keep looking. Okay, we have some sketches here. This is always the fun part when you're getting a tattoo. I have a couple, but I'm not as extreme as, you know, some of these tattoos on the wall. I'm good with 30 minutes and that's it. So that means it's very small. Okay, well, let's talk about these here.
So this case shows a variation of stencils. So, you know, when you're getting your tattoo, a lot of tattoo artists use a stencil. They mock it up. However, some artists use freehand, some artists use computer programs to help them draw the designs. And then these are what gets placed on the skin to leave a mark before the tattoo. What I think is really amazing about these two stencils in particular, these are the actual stencils that were used in some of the photographs.
Oh,
so you can look at here and then go in the other gallery and see the actual final product.
Yeah. So what's your thought when you look at these? What kind of stories do you kind of envision from some of the ones that you've seen on the wall here?
So we actually interviewed all of the participants.
Oh, amazing.
So what we ended up doing is each tattoo artist that we selected, they gave us names or allowed us to select 2 of their clients. And we brought the clients in to get photographed. So everybody was photographed here at the FIA by our staff. And we asked them a series of questions. You know, why did you choose your artist? Does your imagery have any significant meaning? You know, and the stories, I think, are one of the most amazing parts of this exhibition. So if you go through and read the labels, you'll see quotes where artists are talking, or I'm sorry, some artists, but mostly the clients are talking about their experiences. What I think is so remarkable here is that a lot of these clients, they just give their artists free rein.
Yes.
They trust them. They said, I know you're a great tattoo artist, do what you want.
And a lot of people do that, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you know, that's something to kind of like trust the tattoo artist, and then for them to create something so magical that you have with you forever. So that's amazing.
It is. It's really, I think it speaks to the artistry of the artist, but also, you know, their personalities. You form friendships and relationships with these people, especially if you're fully covered. You're there for a long time.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Imagine all the conversation.
Exactly. I think it's the most exciting part of this is to hear the stories. And there is still a little bit of a stigma. I think it's significantly better than it was even 20 years ago. But I think one of the things that this exhibition does, or at least tries to do, is to showcase that tattoos are so much more. Some of them have incredibly deep meaning. And some of them are just for fun. I mean, there's a couple tattoos where the client just said, we were talking about, in particular, Garfield. I love Garfield, so he made Garfield turn into a mermaid.
Oh, wow.
So there's fun, there's serious, there's a little bit of everything in this show.
and people can use their imagination when it comes to the different kinds of art.
Definitely.
Amazing. Well, let's go check out some more. Well, Sarah, we've seen the actual tattoos, but some of the artists here, they actually have different forms of artwork, such as fine art. But before we get to that, talk about this, this mural here, kind of.
Yeah, so every exhibition we do, we like to kind of personalize the space and kind of make it connect to the show itself. And when we were talking about how to connect the photographs to the artwork in other mediums, we thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to have some sort of visual connection?
Yeah.
So one of the artists in the exhibition actually came here and spent an evening painting, a whole day really, painting this incredibly beautiful mural. And if you look at his artwork on our wall, we have a painting by him and tattoos. There's threads through everything stylistically, so you can kind of see
how everything transitions.
Connects.
Yes, amazing. That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to see all of the fine art here. So walk us through some of these.
So some of these are really detailed, incredibly, elaborate paintings. Some of them are more minimalistic and abstract. The artist right here we have is one of the really key, significant artists in the history of tattooing. He's connected to tribal designs, and he's retired now, but he was gracious enough to allow us to borrow some of his artwork. And every artist we worked with let us borrow from their personal stash of artwork. So we have, paint, kind of a traditional medium. We have paint on canvas. We have artists who are working in ceramics and glass. We wanted to feature, every variety that we could find. Now, when you look at some of these paintings or drawings, whatever the artwork in this area is, you can often kind of connect it back to the style of the artist in that gallery.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's like you can see the influence both on the skin and on, paper, or this one's actually on plexi.
And that goes back to what you were talking about with the threads there, so you can see it all connecting back together.
Yeah.
Well, I've envisioned all of this as, with skin, it's only so much of a canvas you can really use. And, with the fine art and an actual canvas, it gives it more freedom to create larger pieces, and this is absolutely amazing.
Yes, that's a really good point. It is. It allows so much for creative freedom. Sometimes it's really great here. In this case, the artist or the client saw this painting and said, "Tattoo this on me."
Oh wow!
So we have a little photograph of the tattoo that is based on the painting. So this is a very one-to-one connection, but sometimes they're a little bit more abstract. And with this type of artwork, the artist can really speak for themselves. Sometimes when you're tattooing, you're guided by your client.
Right, you're trying to speak for them.
Yeah. And so this is where you get really, you can kind of see the passion of the individual artist.
Yeah, and I love the idea how you were trying to transition from the different mediums, because you also have, things like this that are here that are created by some of the artists. Tell us about these.
Yeah, so these are blown glass pieces, and this artist has been working in glass for quite a while. They're working also on the skin. They started off as a glass artist and then kind of transitioned into tattooing. But these objects are incredible. The amount of patience and skill that goes into something like this, you can see that translate on the skin.
For sure.
And both are challenging in their own right, but now this is a really good example of an artist who has multiple talents, really. Yeah.
Here's another. This one's amazing.
Yeah, this one is really fantastic. So this piece, it's a quilt, and we have another different medium from an artist working on skin to now with fiber. And this is based off of an older tattoo, and which is based off of a religious scene. So in this particular piece, we have a contemporary artist who's referencing an artist from before, who's referencing an artist from before. So this beautiful lineage. And what I love about this piece is it really honors the history of tattooing.
Yes, absolutely. And it goes to show, because when you were talking about the tribal tattoos, it goes that far back.
It does, yes. And it is such an incredibly deep history. And when we started thinking about doing a tattoo exhibition, we had to make decisions. Are we going to do a history of tattoos? Are we going to do something else? And the history of tattooing is so vast.
Yeah.
It involves so many cultures.
Yes.
And what we really wanted to do was kind of highlight Michigan. And so we kind of set aside a lot of that deep history, which is incredibly interesting for anybody who's excited for tattoos.
Yes,
definitely fun to dig into. But for this show, we really wanted now and Michigan. So that's kind of what our driving factors were.
Absolutely. And how did you guys go about finding all of the artists?
That's a great question. So we ended up, so a lot of the staff here is heavily tattooed and knows tattoo artists, and
Yeah.
of course. So we reached out to several artists in Michigan that we know have really great backgrounds and have been in the industry for a while. And we met with several of them, and we basically asked them who in the industry is really doing amazing things. As much as, we know as curators, we know about art, there are parts of the art world that we're not as familiar with, so we went to the experts. And the experts gave us a list. We reached out to about 100 people.
Wow.
And so some of them couldn't participate for various reasons, or, they didn't end up making it into the show, but we really wanted to get a variety of art, but we wanted also artists who are at the top of their game or who are doing something really cool and interesting.
All right, Sarah, well, there's also an addition, and that's the annex, which is also exciting to have in addition to this exhibition. But for those that are interested in visiting, tell them how they can find all the information.
Sure, you can find everything you need to know about visiting this exhibition on our website, flintarts.org. And we have some really great free days. Everyone is free on Saturday. If you live in Genesee County, you're free admission every single day. And the show has been so popular that we decided to extend it. So it's extended until December 7th.
Wow, that's fantastic. It goes to show how people are really enjoying tattoos and, just the idea of it being displayed as art. So that's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, we are now inside the Tattoo Exploration Annex, which is an addition to the My Ink, The Art of Tattoos exhibition at the FIA. And we are here with Matt. He is the Director of Education. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I'm so intrigued by this annex. Tell us a little bit about it and what are people expected to experience when they come in?
So we started the Exploration Annex, I think 2 exhibitions ago, with the purpose of serving any special exhibition that comes through.
Okay.
So the last time we had a couple collage artists, Judy Bowman and Romare Bearden, and so we transformed the space to serve that show. So we had collage sort of magnets, and you could work on a landscape or a portrait, and it was very hands-on, very intentionally hands-on and family-friendly. And so each time we change up the exhibition, we're coming up with a new solution to explore this space and figure out a way for the community to learn more about that exhibition through exploration and a little more hands-on connectedness. And sometimes even more than just touch. So for example, we've transformed the Exploration Annex this time around into a fairly believable reenactment of a tattoo shop.
You guys did a great job at that.
But we had help. We had inside information. And we have friends in high places.
Nice.
In particular, Consolidated Tattoo Shop in downtown Flint. And Red's Tattoo Shop in Flint off of Torrey Road. So those guys we've known them for quite a long time, and they were integral in helping us not necessarily design it, but they provided many pieces to make this what it is.
Well, I was talking with Sarah before about how, tattoos for a long time have not been classified as art in a way. What do you think the reaction has been from the tattoo artists that have helped you guys, what do you think that means when they were involved in trying to create this? What do you think that means for them to actually have their art on showcase like this?
I think, for most of them, largely they were really excited and proud, and it was a different view of their work where some of them brought in family members.
Wow.
And it sort of had a validating feeling. That said, some of them didn't need to be validated in any way, shape, or form. And some of them probably didn't care that much because they're just doing their thing. They're tattoo artists.
Right, exactly.
But no, it was a special sort of tip of the hat to their work. And many of us on staff for many years now have a deep respect for the art of tattooing, but also the style that comes with that, and for me more than anything, the commitment that many of them have in terms of being a prolific artist. So my tattoo friends are the most prolific artists that I know. So they're drawing every day. They're physically drawing and painting every day, and then of course they're doing that same work on skin, which is a whole other art form.
How much more exciting was it for you, considering you are a tattoo guy?
It checked so many boxes because we got to work with some friends that I've been going to for years, in a different capacity, right? As an art museum, the second biggest art museum in Michigan. So it was really fun to sort of work with some, and especially some local guys. But my part of it wasn't reaching out to those artists. My part of it was how can we connect with those artists in here?
Bring it to life.
So we did put a bunch of their flash in here.
Nice.
We did ask if they wanted to provide anything. Some of the artists that are in the show. But then we also leaned on each other and our own staff to provide everything from Polaroids to old posters. So there, even though you can't tell when you start looking really closely, there is a lot of collected little objects, album covers that are personal items from our staff. So everybody from myself and my staff to the front desk to people working in the cafe to people working on facilities and security. So it's been really fun.
Well, you mentioned hands-on. I know it's not happening now, but at one point you guys had actual tattoos happening in here.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to do it or not, sort of leading up to the show. We built it to be a functioning tattoo shop. Which it's not that elaborate, honestly, but there are some rules that you have to kind of follow in order to meet health code. But we ended up purchasing a 2-week license. We did that through our friends at Consolidated. So technically it was Consolidated Tattoo Shop for 2 weeks. And we worked with 4 or 5 artists that kind of took turns, tattooing. And
why did you think it was important to add that element? Because, it's one thing seeing it in person versus seeing it on a wall.
Every tattoo shop's slightly different. They don't all feel like this. Some of them do. We wanted to get it as close to the feeling of going into a tattoo shop. And so we thought about smell. And so, for example, we have a little spot on the wall that has this stuff called green soap. Many people don't use it anymore, but some people still use it, and it's got a very particular smell. And that's what a lot of the tattoo artists use to clean the skin and disinfect areas. I love the smell, but it's a very particular smell. We also didn't want to overpower the space, so you have to walk up to it to smell. And that's why we have a stereo in here. We're playing all Michigan music because it's we're trying to keep it regional. But we wanted it to feel like a tattoo shop, smell like a tattoo shop, and sound like a tattoo shop. So it's one thing to walk in here like it is now, where it's quiet. It's another thing when we have the music going, and then it's not a tattoo shop unless you have the sound of a tattoo machine. And so we worked with our friends at Reds, a dear friend named RJ Munger, and he created this sort of bass and provided us with a really old school tattoo machine. And so this is, and there's a name for this. It's called a Smashback Jonesy, which is just the greatest name ever.
Yes, it is.
And it makes a nice, loud sound. It's an old school coil machine, and you have to hear it to know what that is.
Okay.
We took out the needles, so it's not dangerous.
Yes.
But without that sound, you don't have the experience of going to a tattoo shop.
Well, shall we hear it?
Yeah, we should. And so one thing that was fun in this space is we designed a way for the community to push the foot switch to engage the machine, which is what I would be doing if I were here. I would have the foot switch right by me, and then I would engage the machine in that way. But we also doubled down, and so you can press the foot switch so you can hear the sound, but you can also scan this QR code. And our friend RJ at Reds takes you through the entire tattoo process.
Oh, wow.
From start to finish, from drawing something to transferring it onto a transfer paper, making a stencil, to putting it on the skin, to preparing the skin, all the way to the end.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's really informative, and we wanted that to be a big part of this, which is many people are never going to go into a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of assumptions and stereotypes.
Yeah.
And so we really tried to, not only with the vibe that we created and the sounds and the smells, but also just, with some informative text talking about what a machine does, how deep it goes inside of the skin, how that works.
Wow.
Tools of the trade, right? This is what a setup looks like.
Yeah, what the colors there.
Yeah. And then what are these bottles? Witch hazel, green soap, distilled water, alcohol,
Right.
meticide, right? So all of these sort of things, it's a highly technical art form.
Yeah. All right. Well.
So here, I'll just take it off. So this is
Okay.
what it would look like. Here, you should hold it.
Okay, let's see.
So you would hold it like
a pencil?
Yeah, it's heavy, and so you would,
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a really heavy one. I mean, that's old school, it's like, but the heaviness is helpful because you don't have to push, so just kind of
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, they've become so intricate now because I see that
now they're wireless and they're quieter.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't hurt as much either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these are kind of harsh.
It's been a long time since I've had a tattoo, though. Okay. Well, they say the old stuff usually works the best, right? All right. Well, as we get out of here, let's see. Yes. Oh, wow.
So you'll be getting a tattoo and you'll have a conversation and then you'll stop, right? You'll stop. Oh, what'd you say? Oh, yeah. And then, okay, cool. And then it'll,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.